The impeachment of Park Geun-hye, former president of South Korea, was the culmination of a political scandal involving interventions to the presidency from her aide. The impeachment vote took place on December 9, 2016, with 234 members of the 300-member National Assembly voting in favor of impeachment and the temporary suspension of Park Geun-hye's presidential powers and duties. Thus, Hwang Kyo-ahn, the then prime minister, became acting president while the Constitutional Court of Korea was deciding whether to accept or reject the impeachment. The court upheld the impeachment on the 10th of March 2017 in a unanimous 8-0 decision, removing Park from office. A fresh election will be held on the 9th of May 2017 to elect the next president. Background: South Korean Constitution and Constitutional Court Act. According to Article 65 Clause 1, if the President, Prime Minister, or other State Council members violate the Constitution or other laws of official duty, the National Assembly can impeach them. Clause 2 states the impeachment bill must be proposed by one-third, and approved by the majority of the total members of the National Assembly for passage. In the case of the President, the motion must be proposed by a majority and approved by two-thirds or more of the total members of the National Assembly, meaning that 200 of 300 members of the Parliament must approve the bill. This article also states that any person against whom a motion for impeachment has been passed shall be suspended from exercising his/her power until the impeachment has been adjudicated, and a decision on impeachment shall not extend further than removal from public office. However, impeachment shall not exempt the person impeached from civil or criminal liability for such violations. By the Constitutional Court Act of 1988, the Constitutional Court must make a final decision within 180 days after it receives any case for adjudication, including impeachment cases. If the respondent has already left office before the pronouncement of the decision, the case is dismissed. The last South Korean president to be subject to impeachment was Roh Moo-hyun, who was impeached by Parliament in 2004 and was suspended from duties for 2 months. In that case, the Constitutional Court of Korea acquitted Roh and restored him to power. Choi Soon-sil scandal. Revelations were made in late October 2016 that President Park Geun-hye's aide, Choi Soon-sil, who did not have an official position in the government, had used her position to seek donations of money from several business conglomerates known as chaebol, including Samsung, Hyundai, SK Group and Lotte, to 2 foundations she controlled. Choi was arrested and Park eventually apologized 3 times to both the country and her cabinet, beginning in October, but protests against her continued. The protests lasted 6 weeks with Park's approval rating dropping to 4%, and according to an opinion poll, as of December 9, 78% of South Koreans supported her impeachment. The response to the Sewol ferry sinking accident that occurred on April 16, 2014, also contributed to Park's declining presidential ratings. Political developments. On December 3, 2016, at 4:10 a.m., Woo Sang-ho of the Democratic Party, Park Geun-hye one of the People's Party, and Roh Ho-chan of the Justice Party moved the President Park Geun-hye impeachment proposal in the National Assembly on behalf of 171 members of their respective parties and other independent representatives, on the grounds that Geun-hye had violated the Constitution and the law. The 300-member National Assembly was scheduled to vote on an impeachment bill on December 9, when the legislative session ended. As impeachment requires a 2/3 majority, if at least 200 members voted to impeach, Park would have been impeached and immediately suspended from her office. There were up to 172 opposition and independent lawmakers which meant at a minimum 28 of the 128 MPs from the ruling Saenuri party needed to cross the floor and join the opposition in supporting the impeachment measure for the vote to pass. Parliamentary motion. On December 8, the South Korean National Assembly announced that the vote of motion to impeach would take place on December 9 at 3:00 p.m. local time. As a result of the impeachment motion passing, President Park's powers and duties were suspended for up to 180 days while the Constitutional Court of Korea decided about the validity of impeachment motion. It was necessary for 6 of the 9 judges on that court to agree with the impeachment for the removal to take effect. Upon President Park's impeachment on December 9, 2016, Prime Minister Hwang Kyo-ahn assumed presidential powers and duties at 19:30 Korean Standard Time, on an interim basis. Reactions. Protesters congregated outside the National Assembly Hall where the voting session was held. Some 40 family members of the victims of the sinking of MV Sewol looked on as lawmakers cast their secret ballots. Citizens who have been rallying in massive numbers against Park rejoiced at the news, while Park's supporters called the parliamentary impeachment a witch hunt, without concrete evidence of Park's wrongdoings. On January 1, 2017, Park appeared in front of the public for the first time since the impeachment, saying she denies any allegations of the scandal and wrongdoings. Constitutional Court hearing and removal from office. The South Korean Constitutional Court had up to 180 days, until early June 2017, to decide on the issue. It held public hearings to hear from both sides on whether the National Assembly had followed due process and the impeachment was justified. The Constitutional Court has been considered generally conservative, as all 9 judges of the Constitutional Court were appointed during the conservative Lee Myung-bak and Park Geun-hye administrations. The first trial was about the mystery of the whereabouts of Park Geun-hye 7 hours after the Sewol ferry sinking. The administration's delayed response to the disaster led to widespread criticism in South Korea, and forced Park to deny various rumors. The Constitutional Court was to officially start the main hearings on Tuesday, January 3, 2017. Verdict. People who take pictures with holds a sign with messages reading, "Candlelight's Victory," in Gwanghwamun immediately after the verdict. On March 10, 2017, the Constitutional Court upheld the impeachment in a unanimous 8-0 decision, terminating Park's presidency. Upon Park's removal from office, a new presidential election was scheduled to take place within 60 days.